Hi, this is Musa, continuing my series on the Slav defense variation, problems for black in the opening and the middle game. I would like to continue the commentary on one of the amazing games played between Mikhail Tal with the white pieces and Tal Haag. This game took place in Tbilisi in 1969. Tal here had the white pieces and he started with knight to f3, d5, c4, c6, d4, knight to f6 and knight to c3. Here we go by d takes c4 and a4, preventing b5 for good. Bishop to f5, and this is the variation we're looking after. As I said earlier, we had the possibility to play knight to e5, threatening the pawn on c4, e3, and maybe g3. Tal here continued with e3, safe move, and after e6, trying to bring the bishop out in the game, perhaps to b4. Bishop takes c4, and now we have bishop to b4, pinning the knight to the king. Tal immediately castled kingside and knight b d7, typical move in this variation. Tal here played the delayed move, which could have been played earlier, which is knight to h4, attacking the bishop. And here black played bishop to g4. Black could have let the bishop on e5 and castled kingside, or played immediately bishop to g6, where it could have been taken by the knight, opening the h-file for the rook. But maybe black here wanted to castle kingside anyways and didn't want a double pawn on the g-file, weakening his pawn structure. So black here played the best move, bishop to g4, attacking the queen, and Tal played f3. We would like to run a few variations in this position. What about Tal playing queen to b3, getting the queen out and putting pressure on the e6 pawn? Do you see it? Keep it in mind. If queen to b3, then maybe queen to b6. And now if h3, getting the bishop out, then maybe black here can play a risky move, but it's a really amazing move that could lead to crazy variations. Let's run after h3, let's run this variation of h5. Then h takes g4, h takes g4, attacking the knight with the rook. And here a typical Tal wouldn't save the knight, he would have played bishop to e6. If pawn takes e6, then queen takes e6, king to d8, and now knight to g6. And if after bishop takes e6, then black maybe could play rook takes h4, and now bishop takes f7 check, king to d8, e4, opening the diagonal for the bishop, dark square bishop. Now bishop takes c3, b takes c3, the queen is saved by the bishop on f7, queen takes b3, bishop takes b3, and now knight takes e4. And the game may continue as this, f3, trying to get the knight out of the g5 control to fork the rook and the king, but g takes f3, g takes f3, attacking the knight. Now the knight goes back to f6, and maybe Tal would play rook to a2, trying to block the h-file immediately before the black king goes to c7 or d7 and bring the other rook on the h-file. So going back to the game, after f3, black here played knight to d5, opening the diagonal for the queen to attack the knight, and Tal here immediately played f takes g4. Maybe if queen to b3 now, then queen takes h4, knight takes d5. This is a typical Tal variation. E takes d5, queen takes b4, and now if d takes c4, then f takes g4, and white is better. White is a lot better actually. But after knight to d5, Tal took the bishop on g4, queen takes h4, and now queen to f3. Maybe instead of queen to f3, maybe Tal would have played g3. It's a lot better, kicking the queen back to e7. But after queen takes h4, Tal played queen to f3. Black castled kingside, bishop to d2, a5, cementing the bishop on b4 square. Queen, bishop to b3, bishop to d6, g3, queen back to d8, and now e4, attacking the knight, and knight to b4. Rook a d1, rook c8, and this is slightly an inaccurate move. After bishop to e3, white has a lot better position. King to h8. As you can see, black may be planning to get the king out of the light square controlled by the bishop on b3. King to h8, and now g5. g6, closing the g file from action. King to g2, king back to g8, and now h4. Tal is throwing everything at Haag. Queen to e7, e5, attacking the bishop, bishop back to b8, knight to e4, getting the knight into action, and now c5, trying to open the c file, and perhaps threatening c4. And Tal here had a pretty nice choice to play knight to d6, but he played knight to f6 check. We would like to see why, what would happen if knight was played to d6. Perhaps this is the best move, way better than knight to f6. Why? Maybe Tal did not see this variation precisely. Knight to d6, if bishop takes, then e takes d6, and now if queen takes d6, then d takes c5, kicking the queen back by opening an attack on the d6 square. Now queen to e7, and queen takes b7, which is a lot better for white. But after c5, Tal played knight to f6, knight takes f6, and here maybe e takes f6 would have been better, but Tal maybe planned to get his queen on h6. This is why he took with the g pawn. Queen to d7, queen to f4. Now the threat is obvious to black, so black played back king to h8, d takes c5, knight to d3. This is a blunder. Maybe he's trying to get the queen out of the dark squares. So if maybe even if queen goes to to h6, then rook to g8, so black is safe here. But Tal found the best move, and he played queen to e4. And here Irvin Haag resigned for obvious reasons. Let's see a variation like rook f d8, then bishop to c2, and what can black do? Sack the queen? Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in other videos. Thanks for watching.